Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to round one of the Slip Grip Simracing Championship, running this time the Ginetta GT4 car, a single make race, and we've got a good healthy grid of 22 cars for this first race of the season. So we're going to join the action now with just shy of 10 minutes left on the timings. And we've got Andrew Wellborn topping the times at the moment with a 35.3, but we do expect the drivers to get down into the 1 minute 34s this evening. So it doesn't appear that I can see chat this evening, but that is not a problem. I'll have it open on my phone. If you are joining me, thank you for jumping in. George Hall is in the chat already, so that's good to see. We were a little unsure if it was going to work this evening because it did tell me I was going live on YouTube, which was obviously not where we are this season. So, Paul Hayhoe currently up on his time. We'll just see him go through the final corner. Out onto the straight. What can he do? It's an improvement, but he's still 0.037 off of Andrew. And he takes a wide sweep in. So, talking of Andrew Wellborn, there he is out of the loop on the GP circuit. George Hall, I'm rooting for Ant Brown. Yeah, he should do pretty well, but he's got his work cut out this evening. Andy does improve slightly, he's down to 35.282. He's also on his way around to an improvement. Who else is looking good? So we've got Scott Savage in the number 24 car, hunting down John Walker. Two of the silver drivers, both holding their own in the top 10 at the moment. Chris Monroe in 10th, also looking good for an AM driver. Although knowing Chris, I'm not sure why he's an AM. So Scott heads down into the chicane. Someone's already had the tyre stuck out the way. Very close there to a track cut. Hill we go. It is indeed, George, it is 2 20-minute races, a sprint format for the GT4 Ginettas. Scott, see if he can improve any more. And Brown to the top of the times. He's got Wellborn by 0.03, so it's really close up the top. We've seen all of these guys getting really close to being in the 34s. I know Paul has been in the 34s. Quick mention to Kyle Wright, there we go. In the all black livery. A hint of purple on the side. I'm a little colourblind. So Kyle doing well. Who's just jumped in? That's Matt Davies. We were about to get onto him. So Matt Davies finding his pace in the Olins car. A livery Matt just swapped to. He's put a lot of time and effort into that one. As the timer ticks down under 5 minutes to go. Now got a number of drivers improving. Ross Parker down in 15th. Matt is also currently improving his 0.1 up. Let's stick with him as we go up the hill. The lights go off. I believe he was passing the Heirlooms puzzle car of John. Over the blind crest through the right hander we go. heading down the back straight. Don't think he's quite close enough to the car ahead for a tow, but we will get there. Apologies, quite a few of these are new liveries. I've still got music in the background. Yeah, why not? It's qualifying. Loving it. I'll turn it off for the race. Oh no, it's gone crap. Let's get rid of it. Oh, we're on an advert, that's why. Oh, an advert for a cruise ship. Cool. Might be royalty free, but they still chuck adverts in it. Right, out the last turn. Matt had actually backed out of that lap. That was a 36.7. Who else? Looks like they're improving. Harrison Fulton. As you've got the Domino's car off in the background. Yeah, as I was saying, a lot of these are... Oh, it was you. You had YouTube on another tab. Okay, not to worry. Well, I did still have the backing music on, but it had gone to an advert for cruise ships. So, Harrison is currently in, but his dad doesn't look like he's racing this evening, so if Craig watches this back... Hi, Craig. It's a tricky downhill braking zone here. A number of the guys will have to get out of the qualifying mode when we're in a pack on the first lap. It's going to be quite busy. Ant Brown in the pits, so it's either some last minute changes or he's feeling secure at the top or doesn't feel that he can do any better. Harrison out the final turn, 0.4 improvement, so it should get him comfortably in the top 10. It's in the top 10, so he's close behind John Walker and Scott Savage. Any other improvers? Yeah, there's a number of people. Harrison's gone farming. So, Matt again, look at... It's just down into that braking zone. He just dips out of a green delta. Up the hill. Yeah, he's dropped 0.2, 0.3. So, not finding the time he needs. Is Paul able to improve? He's currently 0.1 up on his delta, which will obviously put him really close to the front. He's late on the brakes there compared to previous, so he did improve. Let's see if he gets the run out the turn. Just a little clip of the curb on the way out. Do I know what the next track is after this one? I should do. I don't offhand. I apologise. Paul improves. He goes to the top as expected from that delta, so not quite into the 34s, but a solid effort from Paul. Ant is still in the pit, so it puts him now not enough time to get out and round, so Ant will start from at least second, if not lower down. Andrew Wellborn on a flyer, 0.2 up through the chicane, indicating to the right. Not quite sure what that signifies. Let's have a quick look at camera set 2, a bit broader view. Hopefully not compromised. Oh, that's the John Walker car. So I don't know who I thought was in Heirloom Puzzles earlier on. It's John Walker in the Pink Panther car this evening. To those of you that are in the chat and joining us, I believe 6 people at the moment, thank you for joining us. Andy finds a bit more time, so he did lose that in the hairpin. Thank you for joining us. If you are able to share or host or do anything to help promote the stream, it is most definitely welcome. Tell your friends. And if you're not joining us on track this evening, yeah, just anything you can do to keep me entertained, you know, drop a message in the chat, let me know you're there. If you spot a gap that's closing that I don't, please do let me know. I will do my best to cover whatever I can. So the guys out front aren't improving. Andy's currently equal. Ash Toft in 19th. Goes through. It was an improvement, however it wasn't valid, so Ash will be starting down in 19th if this lap isn't an improvement for him. So he's gone on to the final lap. 8 cars currently on the pit, so it's still quite busy on circuit. Let's just have a look if we can bring up track map. So number 24 heads for the pits. Number 10, Dave Rose. Can he improve from 15th? He doesn't on that time of asking. Car number 2 comes through. That's Kyle Wright. That wasn't quite his best. Neither was that finish. The Domino's car in the background swerving. We've got number 69, Drugovic, has got Andy Wellborn right up behind him. Andy wasn't quite able to improve there. So number 8 and then 55. Number 8 is Ash Toft. Let's see how he gets on in the Domino's livery car. I say Domino's livery. Ash spent a bit of time this morning and managed to put a logo on the bonnet. There it is. The Domino's livery is on the bonnet, so it's definitely a Domino's sponsored car. Out of that turn, 0.4 improvement for Ash. Jumps him up a space. He gets ahead of Nathan Yates. We go with the old tradition of the helicam for the start, just to keep an eye on all the action. We'll be streaming the next round. Subject to availability. If I'm here, I will stream. If I'm not, I obviously won't be. So we'll do what we can. Cheering for Ant Brown. Oh, we've got a non-mover. Matty D. Oh, we've got some half spinners. We've got people all out of position. Right, hopefully everyone settles back into space. No one gets teleported. Also hope that we get a clean start. Fingers crossed we do. Right then, you'll see them all form up. It will be quite a late call on the start. There we go. So it looks like a fairly even start all round. Hey-ho keeps his nose ahead of Brown. Brown will be on the outside. Andrew Wellborn looking for a gap. Dave is the long way round on Wellborn. Able to get the power down. Ant is off out wide, so he's going to drop down at least 3-4 positions. It's going to put him compromised in the run down the hill. So Paul's got a nice healthy gap. Matt versus Matt in the high-vis cars further down. Ant still compromised on the way through. That's Joe now getting ahead. And then it's the Domino's car of Alex McGee that's going to have to try and get through as well. As we head up the hill, I don't think Ant can quite come back immediately. It all looks fairly clean further back. Ross Parker car. Oh, as they come together, that was McGee looking to go around the outside of Ant. I saw that they came together there. Banging doors, hopefully just filing through in line now as we head down into the chicane. Alex is later on the brakes, but Ant can then maintain the momentum. Someone's hit the tyres on the way through, so they've been dispatched, and now people are free to take their line they want. From a long way back down the inside, McGee, was it a dive or was it a missed break? I don't know. Luckily they've all filed back out a little further back. Who is that with the red writing? That's not Dave Rose. Not quite sure who that was, but there was a compromised, I think it might have been Harrison. Yeah, it's Harrison that was compromised. Right, let's just check back in with the leaders. We'll get onto the normal camera set. So Paul still leads the way through Old Hairpin with Andrew Wellborn hot on his tail. Matty J pushing every inch of the track as we climb back up. So Matt versus Matt is going to be a long-term battle. Andrew will have his eyes firmly ahead. Kyle holding on well to the coattails of Matt. Doesn't want to fall back into the clutches of Joe Challoner. Number 13 making up some good positions from the start. Ant Brown now hopefully finding his feet, will be able to recover what he can after what is a start that he won't want to repeat in the second race. Alex McGee, let's see if he can get it stopped at the hairpin this time in the Domino's Ginetta car. As it moves further back. Scott putting pressure onto John, forcing him to defend, breaking down into the hairpin on a central line. John maintains that position. Harrison now moving in towards the back of Chris Monroe. Compromised on the dirt on the exit. There's a little look to the inside. Gets mighty close but not able to get down the inside of Chris there. That's allowing the cars ahead like Ross Parker to get away. And there we go, old hairpin. It's a lunge from a long way back from Harrison. He gets the car through. Dave Rose able to capitalise. Let's just have a 10-second replay. Go on board. Yeah, not quite enough. My apologies. Harrison back behind Chris. And now you've got Dave Rose up the road. Ben Savage now under pressure from Nathan Yates. In 17th, we've got another couple of cars off. It's Kyle Wright who's recovering. Let's get 30 seconds on that. Oh, so down the front we've been 2 by 2. So Davies Johnston. And it's all just got a bit argy-bargy through there. Apologies, the liveries appear to have changed when doing a replay. Not sure what's happened there. So Matty J was a survivor of that. Matt Davies was not. So in a replay he's got an NVIDIA car. Cheers George, thank you for joining. So we'll just have to watch that because in the replays cars have different liveries. That's great. So Wellborn leads. How far back has Paul dropped? Paul Hayhoe, 11th. So the kart review car now running in 11th place. Which is certainly a shame after such a strong start, but 4 into 1 didn't quite go. They went 2 by 2. It wasn't an arc, it was a chicane. So Wellborn leads Johnston. Ants now back up to 3rd, having dropped all of those places. Joe and Alex doing rather well in 4th and 5th as we've got 14 minutes left. Matty D will now be recovering. Let's just try and take a closer look at that car as he gets really close to the back of the Domino's car. Is there a little front end damage? It does look like the front of that car has taken a beating. Can we get a slightly closer camera angle? Maybe it's not. Not so sure. Wellborn sets the fastest lap of the race. So it's eyes down ahead. It's really bunched the field back up. You've now got John Walker, Ross Parker on the same piece of tarmac. So a recovering Paul now has Harrison in his mirrors. Not quite sure who took the biggest hit. However, Paul and Matt Davies appear to be the biggest losers from that one. Well, Paul definitely from the lead of the race. Up the hill we go. Bunching up a little further forward. Brown and Matty J all improving. Harrison doesn't look like he can get a move on Paul at the moment. Back to the front now. It's Joe Challoner under pressure this time. Lights flashing on and off on the Domino's car. Matty D with the overlap on Alex. Alex turn in and Alex goes round. There was a slight overlap. He's managed to keep it pointing in the same direction, but Matt now under pressure, having had to back out of that one, and it's Scott Savage down the inside. So Matt with a different livery. just go on board. He's got the run, he's got the overlap. Just not able to brake too much later, just slightly quicker through, so it was the merest of touches, but two cars really not fitting through the chicane there. Scott didn't need a second invite to go down the inside. It was a little touch, I believe. Right then, Wellborn out front. Here we go, Matty J in pursuit. Hey-ho up to 9th, it seems. There he is, so he's managed to get up past Ross Parker as well as maintain that gap away from Harrison. So a recovering Paul. Bit of a bunch of cars behind him, but he's doing okay by the looks of it. The Domino's car of Alex there having to check up behind Harrison. Very nearly another murder. Harrison onto the back of Parker now. A good run out of the chicane, so he makes his intentions known, or potentially just trying to put Ross off. Not too sure. There we go. Parker's had to defend. Harrison looking for the long way round. Probably not going to wash. Ross does run it out to the curb as Harrison stays behind. A sideways Domino's car just behind. Heading down now into T1, and Brown taking the fastest lap on the last lap. Matching Matty J, who closed up onto Andrew by 0.2 on the last lap in total. Harrison now with another run. Go, big chunk of grass for both drivers, out to the outside curb, sweeping it in, maintaining what speed they can. Harrison out a little wider, Ross seemingly with a better run through there, maintains the gap. A few contact marks on a few of these cars, so it's been shoulders out, elbows out. Work their way through. Matt Davies now putting pressure back onto Joe Challoner down the far end as they head into the chicane. Harrison again with a good run out of the chicane. Ross knowing this time to defend early. Harrison a good way alongside, but the long way round the hairpin isn't going to happen. Alex McGee is round. Quick 10 seconds. What happened? Was he pushed or did he fall? It was a late lunge by Monroe. The mirrors not utilised quite to their full potential there for McGee, so he's dropped back a long way now. Pressure's on. Matty J going after Andrew Wellborn down the front. Seemingly Ant has dropped back slightly on that last lap. Up the hill we go, every inch of the track for Matty J. Patience now required. As he's got a good run on Andrew. Not a common overtaking place, just offsets the car, better view of the corner. And tries to unsettle Andrew. A tighter line maintained now. Andrew's got the inside for the chicane. It'll be a hell of a move for Matt to go the long way round here. Just got the nose ahead. They both back out at a similar time, but Andrew on the inside. Matt holds on the brakes to tuck in behind. Because of that extra braking phase, he's not been able to maintain the pace. So, hold stations for now. Matt breaks in more of a straight line. Andrew into the corner. Cut back for Matt. No, he untwines the steering. He's elected to get on the power earlier rather than going for the cutback. All of this is bringing Ant back into contention. Further back, we know Joe is now under pressure massively from Matty D. And Andrew lives to fight another day. Further back there you see Joe now back in this pack up. So you've got Joe immediately followed by Matt, then Scott and John Walker ready to pick up pieces in the Pink Panther liveried car. Oh, looking a little unsettled for Joe out of that turn. It's a brave man that makes a move into the old hairpin, but Joe got half covering the line on the way in, might compromise him through slightly. A slight blip of the brakes on the way through there, maybe trying to tuck the nose in. Matt with a run, but it's going to be a long way round. Joe half covering, maybe not covering, just floating his way up the hill, nowhere for Matt to go. Clean a run through there as well for Matt. Joe a little jink to the inside. Matt using all the curb. Try and switch that in. We saw Matt J on the previous lap try and do a move similar to that on Andrew, but it would have put him to the outside. So Matt Davies now over the crest as they come into the braking zone for the chicane. Onto the brakes, the noses pitch in, wary of track cuts. Joe had really good entry speed, Matt probably on the exit speed, and it balances out as down the hill we go once more, just under 6 minutes, 4 laps to go. Up the hill we go. Harrison and Ross were close. So that's Ross still ahead of Harrison, but really bunching this pack up now. Talk about covering the inside. That is what Ross is being forced to do. Steering on the power. Away he goes across the line to complete lap 8. Now on to lap 9. Flash of the lights from Harrison. Maybe a little frustrated. A couple of laps now he's not been able to make his way past. Ross could really do with Dave Rose getting in on the action. Camp Brown up the front has closed in on Matt Johnson, so the top 3 all really close. Just a bit of breathing room now, we'll keep an eye. So Joe Challoner has now been passed by Matt. Let's go back 30 seconds. How did Matt in his magical changing livery? So the Nvidia car, which is the Olin's car, just bear with me on this. So the Olin's car getting a run on Joe. He's just managed to keep the nose tidy on the inside as Joe's run wide. And it's a nice clean move onto the back straight, parks the car on the apex so Joe can't get a run and come back at him down into the chicane. Lovely bit of driving there. Joe's come back at him though. We come back to the live action. We've missed Joe back on the attack, so he's attacked down into both hairpins and now he's going to attack down into turn 1. We'll stick with it live now. Matt with the wider sweep in, Joe down the inside. The number 1 car's been in an accident, so Ross Parker has been in an incident. There was maybe contact there. Everything looks okay. Right, we're flying down the craners. The car unsettled there for Matt. 5-car battle pack now queuing up behind the quarrelling Joe and Matt. These 2 good friends, or at least friends in real life. We'll see if they still are after this one. Matt again good as we head up the hill, strong through the right-hander over the crest. Now can he do anything running down towards the chicane? We're now sub 3 minutes. Pressure's really on. Pressure's on down the front as well. Top 3 drivers all within just over a second. Matt wide on the way in, compromised, has to take to the gravel. Where's the run from Scott? Scott closing the gap. He's going to come from a long way back if he does it. He's decided to do it. He's come from a long way back. Joe sees him coming, well avoided from Joe. Matt's been able to capitalise. So Scott, every run turns into a pass, or didn't need to in that case. So unfortunate for Scott. He's lost a number of places. Well avoided by Joe and manages to maintain as John has to really check up. Matty D going for the cutback. Here we go then, out on to lap 12. The wide line in, they're going to try and break away from that pack. Scott's dropped behind Paul now. Paul trying to recover. He was obviously leading this race and has got the pace to really make some inroads, although we don't actually know how damaged his car is. That last lap was a 36.5, so substantially faster than these guys who were obviously battling. John a little wide, a little ragged. Matt really strong up the hill again, so he's on the outside. It's going to be the long way round. Going for the cutback. Joe has to park it. It's the cutback into tap manoeuvre. The overlap's gone because Matt's had to back out of that one. Substantially more curb than Joe. Unsettled, you saw the car twitching. These guys really punishing the tyres with the strange lines and cutbacks. Into the chicane we go. Nice chunk of the first curve there, Matt getting it stopped in time this time round. Joe with that fade to the inside, Matt breaking in a straight line and then turning in. So two rather different approaches to the hairpin, but net the same result.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now. Give it
So
one can.
leaders onto the final lap. That's Wellborn holding off Matty Johnston and Ant Brown down the front. Then you've got Joe Challoner and Matty D in the fight for fourth, with the Walker and Hayho train not too far behind. Scott keeping himself in contention. Ross still holds off Harrison. We've seen that for the entire race, this bunch all together. Harrison knows it's the last lap now, and he's going to really want to make that progress past Ross. He's holding on to 10th, but Dave Rose and Carl Wright will both want to get into that top 10. It's going to happen. It's going to happen on this lap. Tinhead 281 in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Yep, still going strong. It's the first round of the Ginettas, and we brought back the Twitch stream. So Kyle Wright, was he gonna? He was gonna. He is gonna. Kyle Wright up the inside of Dave Rose. A couple of battered cars, all fighting their way through. Nathan Yates getting past there by Tom Lyons, but Tom is on a path to the gravel. He loses one. Can Glenn make the pass as well? Glenn can. Glenn's had to park it on the apex. Tom went for a cutback, but he's cut back too tight and is now sponsored by Flymo. So out of the final turn, Andrew Wellborn comes across the line to win race one of the evening and race one of the season. Matty J and Ant Brown round out your podium. Joe and Matt, a good battle into the final turn, and Matt gets it by a 10th. You've then got Paul Hayho, John Walker and Scott Savage. Harrison's got past Ross. Harrison's got past Ross in the last turn. Kyle then comes across the line. Dave Rose, Chris Monroe. Alex McGee getting past Monroe in the last corner. Nathan Yates somehow with a drive-through. Tom Lyons has been exploring. There he is. Then you got Ashtoft in the Doritos car. So Yates gets 30 seconds because he was on his last lap to not complete that drive-through. Drugovic, sorry if I'm butchering your name, out of the final turn for 20th. And then Ryan David and Scott Lawson. Andy managed to get the win in that one. We've got a minute before your next one. Gonna do it again?
I'll try.
That's
try.
It.
Yeah. Well, the guys had just started discussing what happened immediately after me and Matt got to the front. There was 3 cars or something involved, including Paul.
The chicane was spicy.
Chicane. Yeah, so, yeah, Paul was struggling a little bit with the rear on exit at the start, so I kind of had to capitalise quick if I could, because he's rapid. Yeah, so it just kind of worked out. It all fell into place, and then, yeah, me and Matt J were obviously sort of trading times for a while, then he sort of got right back on me. So, yeah, it was just trying not to make a mistake and try and just make the car wide. So yeah, we'll give it a go anyway. If I can make a podium, like starting third, if I can make the podium again, I'd be well happy.
Absolutely, I bet. No, it was a really good show. Kept you cool, kept the pace for first place, and yeah, got the win. Well done, mate. Hopefully you can do it again.
Yep,
good
no
luck,
worries.
and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, cheers, Tom.
Right, just a quick one there. We'll bin this off as the cars get going again for the second race of this evening. We'll jump in the helicopter for the best viewpoint. Also saw that Surfrus, if that's your username, thank you for the follow. Every weekend that I am here, I will stream this, and on Wednesdays, Andrew, who we just spoke to, will be streaming our Compact Cup Championship. So that should be a good one over on ACC. Right then, there is the car of Andrew Wellborn. He won the first race. They all file into place. Let's see what goes on. Wait for the call. That's a long way ahead for Paul. Hopefully no penalties there. It all looks good, but that should be a solid lead into turn one as Ant is immediately under pressure from Andrew Wellborn. Matty D looking for the outside, Matty J looking for the inside, and a little compromised off the line. Matt and Matt side by side yet again. I think everyone's got through turn one cleanly, and that's all that we ask. So top three file into place. It's the two Matts now that fighting over that fourth place. Matty J, the leader out there, both of them wide. That compromises the run. That means Kyle is on his way past Matty D with a good run on Matty J. Can he do anything with it? He glances to the inside. Matty J turns in slightly earlier. Has to check up, bunches the field up. Top three breakaway slightly further back. It's Scott Savage running wide. We've had a couple of cars come together in the background. Hopefully not too hard into the wall and carry on into this race. So Scott leading this battle pack. We've got a slow car further ahead. It's Carl Wright. 10-second replay. He's had the overlap with Matty D. He's tried to cover the right hand side, but too much of an overlap. That's quite unfortunate. Where did Matty D end up? He's ended up being passed by Joe as they head down into the hairpin. Paul now under pressure from Andrew. Joe able to get the run out of the hairpin. It looks, I think there's a couple of cars side by side, but we'll focus here for a moment. We saw these two battling throughout last race. They've found each other again already on the opening lap. Out of the final turn we go. It's Matty D that leads Joe Challoner across the line. Alex McGee with this pack behind him. Let's jump away from there. So they all file through. Top four maybe making a break now as Matt's already found himself some battles. Further down, a number of cars all quite close. There's a recovering Carl Wright already up behind Nathan Yates as we head down the hill. Thought I had some gravel there, but I think we got away with it. A much faster line, but potentially nothing to do with it. Kyle, an overlap on the way up the hill. Nathan off to the left. Kyle having to back out of that one, fall back into line, but again he's got more apex speed now. Can he do anything over the crest? The thought of covering it for Nathan. That was going to be a sneaky snifter if I ever saw one. On to the back straight we go. Already some relentless racing. How are the guys getting on further back? There's Ash Toff, Scott Lawson, sorry. Was it Drugovic or Parker potentially that was fired off on lap one? Yeah, Ross with the run there, so it'll be what should be an easy pass down into the hairpin. A little bit of argy-bargy further. Has Kyle been off again? So let's just watch Kyle briefly. So Kyle's got a monstrous run there. He's finally got it sorted. As he comes across the line, there's another battle in front. Yeah, cars scatter everywhere. I'm not quite sure who it was that fell all the way off. But there we go. Right, back to the front. Paul Hayhoe. A little more stable in position this time. Wellborn under pressure from Ant Brown. Further back. It's McGee now under pressure from Scott Savage. Scott's managed to get his nose down the inside. So they should be moved. So it's Alex, that's got ahead of Scott since the last turn. Scott's backed out of that one. And now he will be under pressure from Harrison as we head into the hairpin. Harrison, that sweeping line, very, very close to the back of Scott. Not quite making contact there. Scott with a seemingly better run. Maintains a bit more pace through the apex. McGee with the wide line in. Now potentially a run for Harrison. He's had good drive out the final turn. Shows his intent down the inside of Scott. Scott looking for a switchback, not quite there, so a good move there from Harrison. He's got the Fulton Motorsport car down the inside and now heads down the Craners in 8th place. And we go through Old Hairpin. A little wide out there, that might give Scott a chance. It'll be one hell of a run. He's got the toe up the hill. No, not quite enough to come back at Harrison, so Harrison holding off that move for now. There you go, down the front. It's now Matty J catching up to the back of Ant Brown, that appears to be one of the closest that we have on the circuit. Nibble of the gravel on the way through there, so Ant's definitely safe in that position as we head down the hill. Wellborn unsettled, Wellborn into the back of Hayhoe. Wellborn breaking on the grass, that's Ant Brown through. I wonder how much damage we've got on those cars. 30 seconds was too much, 10 seconds wouldn't have been enough, so we see the moments leading up to that incident. And I think you'll find it's just edges the car over the curbs. Tries to straighten it up, but finds the back of Hayhoe. So it's now Ant Brown leading Paul Hayhoe. Matty J wasn't able to get through, or if he did, it was short-lived. So it's Ant now. The consistency of Ant Brown might see us with a race win. We've still got 13 minutes though, so this is far from over. Matty J up the hill. Andrew Wellborn potentially with a bit of front-end damage. It's brought Matty D back into play. He's managed to drop Joe in this race, something he couldn't quite do in the last. And down the back straight we go. Matty J trying to unsettle Paul just in front. The top 5 guys here, all well used to racing with each other. Come on, someone leave a comment, so that spam bot's gone. Out the hairpin we go. Matty J getting an attack on Paul. Be one hell of a switchback. Paul parks it on the apex, so Matt tries to do it the long way round. He has to drop in behind, so Paul wise to that move and doesn't let it happen. Matt now potentially with a better run out of that turn. But it's a brave man that sends it down the Craners into the old hairpin. Tries to take a wider sweep in. It looks like Paul's carried a little more speed through there. Just opens up potentially a car's length between the two of them. Scott Savage coming back at Harrison Fulton further back. Tom Lyons is close to Ash Wootton as well. There's a number of battles up and down the field. If you are watching this back or watching it live and want to join in, you can sign up. You can be part of this grid next week. 11 minutes now left on the timer. Corner 9 in the real world. Matty J unsettled on the way in. Andrew with a cleaner run behind. So Andrew now to the outside and forcing Matty J to defend. Matt stopped it. Matt Davies now wants to get involved. Andrew a little compromise through there. You can see the gap Paul's been able to pull as these two fight. It all started back at the chicane. Andrew now trying to go the long way around. Bumps doors with Matt. Matty D tries to hold the tight line. Doesn't quite get the run out of the corner, but these three now all very close to each other. Ant Brown still very much in view as we head down to start lap 7. All just with a bit of breathing room now as we head down the Craner curves. Ash Toft up to 17th. He's had a good race so far by the looks of it, but Ryan David not far off the back of him. These guys are just giving us a moment. Let's just check. Ryan a little wide in the background. That'll give Ash the breathing room that he needs to go chase after Ross. Ash Wootton trying to catch up to Tom Lyons, who we saw in the last race getting all crossed up. So everyone else looks to have found their pace, found their spot. It's these guys down the front that we've got to keep an eye on. Your top 5. So Andrew slightly deep now, compromised up the hill. Half thinks about defending it. Davies now holding that tighter line. It's important to get the drive off the corner though. Don't think he quite had it. All of these guys. We got Ant Brown did a 35.7 on the last lap. Paul has done a 35.4, so closing in. As soon as they stop battling, these guys are able to try and make that progress forwards. Wonder how much damage Wellborn is nursing on the front of his Ginetta. The sign on the rear, drive better, waved in the face of Matt Davies, who has zero pressure from behind at the moment. Through that section there for Matt. Can he do the same? There's a nice clean apex there. And the run now down. Ash Toft ahead of Ross Parker. He was briefly. So Ross Parker managing to get back through. I don't know if Ross had an incident on the last lap. Yeah, he did a 39 and Ash did a 37. So Ash temporarily closing in. A drive through for Wellborn up the front. The number 30 car. 18th. Sorry, that's Ryan David in 17th, as then been looking to challenge Ash, not been able to do it. Wellborn to the pits for that drive through. He's taken, where's the camera? He's taken it immediately. He wants to use the next 6 minutes to try and get as many positions back, but that's going to have hurt his championship. You can see the front end slightly grazed from its earlier skirmishes. Oh, and it's a stop and go 30 for Andrew. He's potentially been speeding in the pit lane. I imagine that's what that was. So Andrew's second race is going to drop him right down. A huge cut of the Craners there. So Andrew now running in 13th, but with a stop and go 30, that's going to see him right to the back of the grid. So sorry to see that, Andrew. Back at the top, Paul Hayhoe closing in slightly on Ant Brown, although they did match each other on that last lap. Through the chicane we go. Over the hill, down the hill, Matt and Matt. Matt amending his team name, I'll let you read it for yourself. Then you've got a gap back to Joe Challoner, now under pressure from Alex McGee. Just behind him, Harrison Fulton and a number of cars. Fulton Motorsport car down into the final turn. 5.5 minutes to go. If you are just joining us, let me know you're here. Let me know who you're cheering for. I know some of the guys earlier were cheering for Ant. Well, they've left the stream because they've had to go, and Ant's then putting in the work to get that first place. Harrison a little crossed up on the exit there. It's going to give Scott a chance to run down the hill with him. You see Scott closing in, old hairpin. Is it going to be an opportunity? Not from that far back. That'd be a hell of a send if he does. Hooks up the apex well. Harrison pushing on a little wide, so it's another exit in favour of Scott as we head up the hill. Here they come then. Scott now closing in. Look at the map on the right hand side, there's a number of pairs on circuit. We'll see which of the pairs are close enough to make any moves. There's a defence going on further forward, that's Alex McGee getting in the mirrors of Joe Challoner. Good run there by Alex, but as we know, not every run has to be a move. Go far in line, then it's Harrison and Scott. Then it's Chris and Dave. And then it's John Walker down the inside of Kyle. Was that a massive defence or is that an attack? That was a defence from John. So John now under pressure from Kyle. Matt and Matt down the front with 0.1 apart. So everyone's finding their next battle at the moment. You see McGee down the front, ahead of Challoner as he crossed the line by 0.076. John forced to defend again, hopefully doesn't run too deep. Kyle looking for the cutback, no cutback, but he did have a more optimised line, so it's going to be side by side down the craners for these two. Place your bets now. There's a bump on his way through, a chunk of curb for John. The 58 car has been involved in an incident. McGee and Challoner making contact on this lap. Joe lost out to the tune of 2 seconds. They too were side by side down the craners, so a quick replay. It was McGee on the inside line. And then it was Joe, but Joe had a much better exit. Alex getting crossed up and Joe's driven in the back of him, not quite able to react quick enough to get off the power. Hopefully not too much damage, just stumped his progress up the hill, so could have been a lot worse there. Right, that ends that replay there. So McGee does survive ahead of Challoner. We're watching Scott Savage. So it's Kyle that's got ahead of John. Davies on the back of Matty J. Let's do a quick rundown. So it is Ant Brown still out front in the Ginetta Aggregates car. You're in need of premium quality gravel. Just delivered directly to your work site in the Ginetta, because Ant will find you some gravel. Then it's Paul Hayhoe as we head up the hill. Paul matching the laps of Ant now, so these two settled into a little bit of a rhythm as the timer is now under 2 minutes. Here's where the pressure is. Matty J under pressure from Matt Davies. These two slightly off their deltas because they've already been battling this lap. Welcome in, Craig. You just arrived back. Good to see you there. Hopefully we'll have a stream for you next week and hopefully see you on track. Is that a run for Matty D? I don't think it is. In early to cover the inside. Parks it on the apex. No real chance of a cut back there. It's a good run from Matt D. Johnston covers the inside line. Davies looks for the cutback. He's on the power early. However, there's a giant Ginetta in the way. As you heard there, we're on to the final lap. So we'll see if these two can duel it out any further. Further back, McGee holds off Challoner with a bit of breathing room. It's then Scott Savage leading Harrison Fulton with Chris Monroe and Dave Rose not too far behind. Any errors there could see those positions swap rather rapidly. Kyle holds on ahead of John. We've then got Tom Lyons a little further back. Ashworton not too far off again. Any driver making any mistakes, there's always someone about who's going to pick up the pieces. The number 1 car, Ross Parker, we did expect to see him slightly further up. He will be slightly disappointed with 15th, but he'll soon find his feet with these cars. Ash Toft in the single sponsor Domino's bonnet logo liveried car, currently running in 16th. He will be more and more in the mix. I know he's started practicing way more, but he has got a 2-year-old to contend with, so balancing sim racing with life. Then got Ryan David, Nathan Yates, then Glenn Savage, a recovering Wellborn after his stop and go 30 and drive through, Djokovic and Lawson. But the other Savage, Scott Savage, has ended up with a drive through, so he's managed to cut the chicane. Ah, they've finished. Ant Brown wins. Paul Hayhoe, then Matt Johnston holds off Matt Davies. Alex McGee, Joe Challoner. Scott with that drive through will turn into a 30-second penalty, so he will drop down once the final results come in. Unfortunate there for Scott. These guys all piling through. It's Chris Monroe, Dave Rose, Kyle Wright holds off John Walker, then Tom Lyons, Ash Wootton, Ross Parker, Ash Toft, Ryan David, Nathan Yates, and then slightly further back we've got Glenn Savage. I wonder who will end up ahead. If it is Glenn or if it is Scott, we'll see on the final results. And it's Andrew Wellborn following his penalty. Djokovic. Last but not least, Scott Lawson. Cool. Well, that's it for this week. Should we try and grab hold of Ant? Oh, he's gone on mute. Of course he is.
Give it all you can.
Well, it doesn't look like an interview from Ant, but thank you very much to everyone that has joined this evening. If you were in the stream, if you were taking part and you're now watching it back and you've got to this point, thank you very much. Next week, hopefully there will be a stream if I'm home in time. If not, we will see you back here the following week. Of course, on Wednesdays, we will now have the Compact Cup races brought to you by Andrew Wellborn. 3 races following the qualifying UK circuits. Yeah, BMW E36 Compact, low horsepower, but full of momentum and banditry. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you Wednesday.